Here's a clap. Do a clap for me. Smack your Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I'm here with Roelof Smilde, who's last year's champion in the Nick Power Cup, so I think he should be the person we should talk to first. Roelof, how are you this evening?
I'm good, thanks. Good, very well.
And you're looking forward to playing in the Nick Power Cup?
Yes, my word, I am.
You have,
particularly with the prospect of beating Pete.
Well, you've anticipated my next question there, because I was going to ask you who was it that you feared in the competition, but maybe that's not the same question. Who would you like to beat and who do you fear?
Well, we're great competitors, Pete and I. And we've been going hammer and tongs for quite some time now. So, no, he's the one. He's the guy. I'm not saying that nobody else can win it. That would be absurd. But,
Yes. Yeah, well, no, I have no doubt that Pete is going to feel the same about you as he does. You do about him.
I would think so. For sure.
What about Dean? Is he a bit of a sneaking threat sometimes?
Well, he is when he's on form. He hasn't had a good run lately. In fact, very few people seem to be in form right now, which is great for some.
Unlike your good self, who seems to be in terrifying form. Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much, Roelof, and good luck in the competition.
Thanks a lot.
And here we are at the Nick Power Cup 2011 at the Toxteth Hotel, watching the first game here between Roelof and Dave G. I'd just like to introduce myself. My name's Aidan Archer, and my co-host here is Julian Wood.
Hi, Aidan.
We're going to be covering this the entirety of the Nick Power Cup this year. That's all 3 weeks. And we've just actually already seen the very first break.
Yes, and it was rather adventurous, but there's only one way to play it, really, I think, in this game. You've got to open up and take your chances, and that's how we like to see it.
Hit and pray. I think that's the term. That is the term. Now, for people that aren't fully aware, the players we have on table one here are Roelof, the gentleman taking his shot right now. And in the lovely 80s fashion headband, we have a Dave G, who looks like, I think he's on smalls at the moment. That is absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Easy shot for Dave, but he's just...
There's still a few balls in the centre there, so it's not going to be over this shot, not unless we have something pretty special comes out.
Roelof is reaching for the rest, and I'm afraid in this pub there's a tendency for this rest to be called various derogatory names.
Yes, they're definitely not politically correct.
They're not. And as the main person who would throw this accusation is not likely to throw it tonight, we can just let Roelof play his game. But it makes a lot of sense. And he's got the shot he wanted.
It is going to be tricky. It's always going to be tricky on that 13. But yeah, still a lot to play for. Have to say that there's quite a lot of tension here in the air. This is the Nick Power Cup, the highlight of the pool calendar. Certainly here at the Toxteth Hotel, the fishbowl, as we like to call it. Nice double. It was always going to be tricky. Always going to be tricky.
Surprised you didn't get that in some ways. I would have expected Roelof to have left it at least over the pocket, that orange.
It is early in the series. Those kind of shots, I think, by the end of the series, we are going to be expecting a fairly high level of pool here.
Dave G hasn't a clue what to play.
But he's covered the pocket again. This is supremely tactical play. You can't actually see it. But he does have a very sort of smug look on his face.
Are you expecting him, you think, to try and cover all the pockets? He has got 6 balls on the table.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do when I'm 4 balls down.
Dave G, with his 2 bottom pockets covered, should really start to try and think strategically now. He could claw his way back in, don't you think?
Yeah, he really needs to leave the white ball up the other end of the table if he wants to have any hope of taking advantage of the hard work he's done covering those pockets. But it is tricky. 5 balls down. And another almost covered the pocket.
See, I think there's a bit of nerves there. I don't think that that's the kind of shot Dave would normally be expecting to play.
Well, it is a big name trophy that we're going for. I'm sure I don't know if we've had a good chance to look at the trophy yet, but it is a special piece of artwork that we've got, special piece of silverware that we're going for. Oh, well, that was a beautiful shot. We felt very delicate, very delicate.
More people coming in the pub now because it's quite a popular event, and people will be drifting in over the next hour or so, hoping to play.
Now we are seeing that, yes, it has worked. Strategic play has worked, and in a surprise upset. Strategic Pool has beaten Talent here in the
Well, I think Dave might have something to say about that, but that was a very unfortunate shot. Ruloff, as you saw, tried to go for the bottom pocket, but he followed through and unfortunately has suicided.
Yeah,
if he did that in an Arab country, he'd be rewarded with 74 virgins. Pete, good to see you, and welcome to the Nick Power Cup.
Thank you.
So anyone else other than Ruloff, now that Ruloff's out, anyone else who might block your path, do you think?
That's a difficult one. Of course, there's always Dean, of course. Dave G, who could come up and score. Unfortunately, John L is not here tonight, which is very sad, very sad.
This is going to be a very good game. I'm very excited to watch this matchup. This is almost this is the final in the first round, really. PT is a very class player, and Lee we have as the winner of the previous week. So yeah, we're just breaking right now, and no luck for Hardy Pete.
We should just explain for listeners at home who don't have the vision that Lee is on smalls, as Aidan correctly called, and he's looking very, very confident.
Yes, comfortably sinking that second small after a huge amount of deliberation. Lee is a professional player. He won last week. He's definitely thinking 5, 6, and 7 shots ahead. Thinking 7 shots ahead is probably a little bit too much. There's only the 5 balls, 6 shots that he actually has to play. But they are falling. Next up is probably going to be the one down the end of the table. He does have a little bit of an issue with... No, he's going to cut the red into the pocket. But he does have a bit of an issue with breaking out his balls out of the pack. Well, you can't expect to sink anything on the break, but he's definitely finding himself with a little bit of a battle here already. Oh, almost. That was very well picked from a very poor selection there.
Yeah, I mean, both these players are the sort of player who like to grind rather than do huge flashy shots. They're both very measured in their play, and they usually get further in the comp precisely from that kind of style. I mean, one thing that I noticed about Pete Tutenberg's play is that when he's looking like losing a frame, he suddenly gets much more cautious.
Pete's a very competent player of the ball. However, whether or not this becomes decisive, we'll see. Especially having so many of his balls there in the centre, in the pack. Those two smalls covering the pockets there are going to make it tricky for him unless he has the ball back up at that end of the cushion.
And of course, the added factor is that all Pete's balls are around the black, which is it's hard to dig them out without dislodging the black.
Yes, he has got to be very careful about this. I mean, if he plays this well, if he can work the white off the 14 right now. Well, he was going to lose that shot anyway. I suppose it wasn't going down. I mean, that 8 position doesn't say anything. Okay, so he's going to take the 4, knock that onto the 1. Hopefully leave himself with a shot. Oh, he's almost broken it up.
And that was very unlucky. Yes, that black ball is more guarded than a Donald Trump when he travels on his first-class jet.
But certainly more guarded than Julia Gillard when she's making a commentary in public, that's for sure.
Yes, they're very similar figures because of the red hair. The one thing about Pete's play is that he doesn't want to give away an obvious bad position, and as Lee's ball is over the pocket, he has to leave it somewhere very safe indeed.
Yes, he has this contradiction that if he does break open the 8, well, that's his one defence. So he needs to be able to break open that pack and sink at the same time, which was desperately close. But he might have just saved it. Look, I think the 4 is covered. The 13 covers the 4. Lee does not have a clear shot.
That is unintentionally a perfect snooker in the situation. Although Lee is looking hard at the idea of doubling back off the opposite side of the table and being able to knock the 4 in. But the question will then be, what will he do with the black if he gets trapped behind the orange?
That is the question, sir. That black is going to hate him. Oh, he's done very well. He's done very well to sink it, but the black is... Well, you know, he can double it across the table. I don't know how that 15's sitting there in good state. And there is the possibility that he might try and go for the corner pocket. Now, that's a very tricky double down to the corner. Oh, that almost was beautiful. If he actually really tried to get that angle off the 14 and bring that down to the corner, he almost had a genius shot.
But we're back live on table 1 with Pete going for a simple shot in the bottom pocket.
Yes, Pete at this stage is very much looking to clear up absolutely everything. That 8-ball is going down from a white positioned anywhere on the Glebe Point Road side of the line. As long as it's down that end of the table, that 8-ball's eminently sinkable.
Even if he ends up on the pokey table, he can still get the black on a double.
I think you might have caught on the camera some of Party Pete's expression. His facial expression might have delivered a little bit of the sentiment of quite exactly how much of a disastrous failure that shot was. Still going to be a little bit tricky. It's quite a fine break here, but fine cut. But
and Lee has tried that cut, and he said himself, you can already hear the crowd there, he said pressure, so he's feeling it too. But the problem is, of course, that he hasn't left in a very kind position for Pete, even if Pete does get back onto the black.
Yeah, he's actually demoted the black. It's not as singable in that position there. Yes, I think pressure and disappointment are the characteristics of this final part of the game. Pete, he should be in a position to find his way. If he can find his way down to this end of the table, he may just have managed to grab the advantage after all of this time.
Yes, if I was a betting man, I would say the odds are now going to about 50-50, although if it was any normal bookie, they would probably put it 65 towards Lee.
Wow, any normal bookie perhaps. The subnormal bookies, I reckon, would be backing Pete, as they often do. Now, he's turned that around. Who knows?
I'll take that bet now if you won't.
If he did want to sink that, that was not going to happen. So I guess what's Pete? Oh no, Pete's going to try and cross double the white, find the angle on the black, and
Lee went for a very difficult shot, and he took it very quickly. I was surprised at that.
However, the situation at this moment, Lee is actually resorting to a little bit of sort of verbal argy-bargy to try and put Party Pete off the game, and it looks like it might have worked. This is an absolute sitter. Oh, nothing like sledging to turn a game around. Fantastic. I love it in true Australian fashion, which is pretty good for a Pom.
I'm speechless that banter did seem to... And Lee has won. He's sunk that black ball that Pete left him on. So Lee, having won the competition last week, goes through the first round and knocks out one of the best players in the comp. Okay, we're outside the Toxia tonight to interview the next person in the round, who's going to be the man of the action, because Justin's actually in the next round. And I want to ask him, has he really enjoyed the round so far, and how have they gone?
I quite enjoyed my second game. Aiden got quite a pantsing. It was fantastic. Best game of my life, I'd probably have to say. And he also managed to scuttle away without his pants being around his ankles, which was a little sad.
We'll pass over Aiden's rather lamentable game in if we may.
And the pantsings, yeah.
And the pantsing. Good, well that's fantastic. Thanks for coming out and talking to us tonight.
John Lagerlo and Lee play in a game that is much more critical for Lee than it is for John L.
Well, I suppose that's right. At this stage of the competition, everybody's on their mettle. What we're talking about there, of course, is the overall points for the comp versus the fact that this is actually a game in and of itself. And tonight's competition is also, matters. People want to get through the rounds, don't they? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that is true. Just in terms of the Nick Power Cup, we're in this situation where Lee has a commanding lead.
We have to see that John, of course, is no slouch, and he's unlucky. He's a bit unlucky there. He's sunk one of Lee's balls whilst also sinking his own. Now Lee's got to shape up here because he's just got can he get the purple behind the yellow? And he's tried to, but he's a little bit too hard.
Yeah, it was a little bit, maybe too hard, but it was always going to be difficult. As it is, what he did want to do was promote his ball over John L's ball. He's not actually aware of his situation in the Nick Power Cup, I believe, at this stage.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
But he currently is ahead of the game. He may be the spoiler of the Toxteth.
I'm not surprised he went for the middle pocket there. That was I thought he was going to try and roll that down to the bottom left-hand corner as we're looking at the table from the pokey end. Tried to cut it into the bottom pocket there, and just a little bit too fine and too hard.
Yes, it was a tricky cut. He's still with his 7 that he promoted into the corner there. He does sort of have a bit of a lock on the game.
Yeah, both his balls are the further side towards the pocket than John Lagelow's balls. A beautiful double there from John.
Excellent double from John there. Very, very good indeed. Some people might discount John's capabilities as a pool player, but that's a very unfair recommendation. This is a game where both players have locked each other's out, and so it's going to be a little while before we see anything happening here.
Beautiful shot from Lee down the table. He picked it well. It's always a matter of execution as well as knowing how to play, but he certainly does have an eye for a shot that he tried to select there.
Yes, pool is a game of strategic vision and execution. Currently, Lee has a strategic position which is sufficient.
There's been a couple of misses, a couple of unforced errors from both players, but it's not over yet.
No, and Lee still remains many balls away from his chance at claiming the title. If he were playing for a title shot, he does have enough balls to pull that off.
Yeah, it certainly does, but that was an absolutely superb planter. He played for that, and he took advantage of the fact that his ball was so well over the pocket that anything that touched it would knock it in.
Yes, I've tried that. Occasionally it hasn't worked out for me, but I guess you just have to ask her about that.
Can I suggest wider pockets?
Wider pockets would always be appreciated, as Lee goes for his second to last ball to win the competition. Now, if he can sink the 3 and then come back down the table, he will be the winner of the Nick Power Cup.
That is an extraordinary fact, and it looks like history is about to be made. Lee is taking his time, and he's just going to play this nice and sweetly down the bottom of the pocket.
This is a shot that could win him the Nick Power Cup. As it rolls, and it jaws! It jaws! Yes, at this stage, really, if John Lagerlow wishes to hold his position as the spoiler of the Nick Power Cup, he does need to pot out in this shot, because as soon as Lee comes back to the table, he will be looking very seriously at the purple ball in the corner to win the cup.
And if John had wanted to give him that on a plate, he could hardly have made it more directly in line. But, of course, that's the great irony of pool, isn't it?
This is indeed the moment where Lee is signing his name across the bottom of the cock.
Only those in the cognoscenti of the pool comp would know that it actually was such a crucial ball.
Indeed. At this stage, most of the heavy hitters in the comp that have been very aware of this are in fact all over the actual game itself, and perhaps haven't quite given full credit. No, wait, I see the cameraman now giving congratulations to Lee as he deserves.
And we're outside the Toxteth Hotel at the end of the evening after a very long competition, and it's been a wonderful Nick Power Cup, and I'm very happy to see that Pete Teutenberg, the holder of the Nick Power Cup in the previous era and many years ago, and also in this current Nick Power Cup, is about to hand over. But Pete, thanks for coming out, and bad luck, and how'd your comp go?
Well, as always, it was disappointing to not get there in the end.
Nick was very special to us all who knew Nick.
I thought I had it. thought I had it. And it's always been a very special honour to win this trophy. But then again, the Nick Power Cup is anyone's cup. And I really think that you deserve for what you did over the last 3 weeks. It's like the Melbourne Cup. Any horse can do it.
So, Pete, it's been fantastic to see you play, and thanks very much for agreeing to the interview, and good luck. Are you going to come back next year?
Well, that's too early to say, really, but I'll probably be continuing my training until then. Every ball down counts, and you got more balls than anybody else, all right?
Yes, and that's very generous of you and very gracious. So that's Pete Tuitenberg, everybody, who's just ducking out of the Nick Power Cup. Thanks very much, Pete. Woo. So, Lee, welcome. Thanks very much for coming over. It's a very busy night, and we're talking to Lee, who, of course, is the actual winner of the Nick Power Cup in this occasion, and his name goes on the famous trophy, so engraved underneath the strange chicken cock, whatever it is. So, Lee, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's a bit of an unusual outcome. Never thought I'd be standing out in the rain getting a brass chicken, but that's what happens on a Wednesday night at the Toxteth and the pool comp, I suppose.
Alright, well, thanks for the honour of competing in this. That's sound fairly bad. But obviously I got lucky, kicked a few of the arses of those that were expecting to win, which was almost as valuable as the honour of the trophy, can't even say it.
That's the kind of cheeky humour that's got him through the comp. But also, we're delighted to see that you've been playing very, very steadily and stealthily, and your name's going to go on the trophy, so you must be pretty happy about that.
No worries, thanks very much.